Hello and welcome back to Ebenezer Cottage Garden after what I think is exactly a year. I got distracted by the Euros football tournament last year and never really picked it back up. But I thought I'd take you around today and show you some success that I've had with garlic and also have a little look at some carrots as well. But you can see here what I've picked so far. These were all picked about a week or so ago, apart from this one here, which I picked yesterday. And I've done both soft neck varieties and hard neck. The difference being that soft neck store really well. They don't make scapes, which are those little shoots that pop out the top that you can pick off, and they're really big, large bulbs. Whereas your hard neck, probably more suited towards a cooler climate, do make those scapes that you can pick off and cook on their own, and they don't store so well, but apparently they've got fantastic flavour. And you can see straight away that the success really has been in my soft neck varieties. Um, this is Messidrome, and I've grown these in the greenhouse just round the side behind my tomatoes. And I've also grown these hardnecks in the greenhouse, which, looking back, I think is probably a bit of a mistake because they prefer a slightly cooler climate from what I can read. And I think they've really struggled and suffered in there. And ideally, they'd be left in the ground a bit longer, but because it was getting so hot, the leaves were getting frazzled, all the rest, and it was just time to get them out, really. Anyway, we'll go have a little look around, pick some more garlic, and we'll also see how the carrots are getting on. Right, we're in the greenhouse now, and I can show you how I've planted my garlic out. And you can see I've got my tomato fronts out the front here, some basil just below, and at the back here are my garlics. And the way I did this was I planted them out, I think it's around the 4th of November in here. They stayed in all the way through winter in the ground, and I've watered them fairly sparingly through that period and picked it up from spring onwards. And yeah, I think now they're kind of ready to come out. You could argue they could stay in a little bit longer, but really I need the space for the tomatoes. So I'm just going to start pulling a few up. We'll see what they look like. I know so far the ones I have picked have been pretty good. So let's have a look. When you are picking out garlic, you don't just want to yank it out the ground. If you can, ease it, and that will avoid any breakages, which might mean that they don't store so well. Of course, the one I'm doing on camera is deciding to be a little bit awkward. Wow. Yeah, that's really good. Really happy with that. Needs a bit of a clean up, but it's just as simple as pulling off some of these outer leaves, which I'll do properly later. And again, these are the Messidrome soft neck. And I think really now is the time for me to be getting these out because I can just see this outer layer is starting to split. Absolutely fine once you get underneath it. And what you don't want is for the layers underneath to split and for the individual cloves to start actually shooting in the ground, because then you've got absolutely no chance of storing them and you'll need to divide them up and keep them in the freezer, something like that. But I'm going to carry on. Honestly, I'm so happy with this. I've never really had garlic do as well as this. I've never tried it in the greenhouse before. I've only ever done it outside, but that's just a fantastic result. We'll see how the rest look. Obviously, I'm really pleased with the ones I've just pulled out of the ground. Look up close there. I spotted a little bit of damage on one. You can just see here. I think that's where it's been growing quite closely to the brickwork around the edge of the greenhouse. And as I pulled it up, it's just scraped. So I'll be conscious of that next year when I'm planting them. But you can definitely see the week and a half that I've waited to pull these up compared to these ones, which, you know, they've dried out a little bit. It's definitely worth just waiting an extra week and a half. So that's a lesson learned for next year. We'll go outside now, see how the ones out there are doing. I'm conscious that I want to get those out today because we had quite heavy rain yesterday. We've got a few dry days and then we've got some heavy rain for 3-4 days. So I want to get them out the ground in case they start rotting or anything like that. But they're all planted out on the same day as these. So it's going to be interesting to see how they've progressed, if they're the same size, if they're smaller, or if any other different issues crop up. But yeah, we'll go have a look. Alright, so we're out now on my no-dig raised bed. There's still lots to spring into life here, various bits and pieces, but for the meantime I've got some garlic here ready to harvest. So again, as I say, these were planted at the same time as the ones in the greenhouse, and we'll just have a little look, see how they've come up. They're all looking pretty good. Not as big as the ones that I did in the greenhouse, but still perfectly fine. If you'd have told me I'd have garlic like that at the start of the growing season when I popped these in the ground, or I should say last autumn, I'd have been happy whether it was the greenhouse ones or the ones here in my raised bed. So I'm going to get these cleaned up and we'll see what they all look like together. Okay, here they are. Some absolute monster bulbs in the bunch. These are all my soft necks. I've not completely shunned the hard necks. They're just behind the camera. I will do something with them and cook with them. But yeah, really pleased with these. Next stage is to dry them off in the greenhouse for a day or so, and then I'll pop them in the shed. Now that I've got them in my arms, I thought I'd escaped rust this year. There's a little bit on these outside ones, or on this particular one, not all of them, but it's come right at the end, so it hasn't affected the growth of the bulb. And also, if you do get rust, it doesn't affect you know, the ability to eat the garlic itself. It just affects the growth a bit. But look at them, absolutely chuffed to bits with these. Right, so before we go, we'll have a little look at a few carrots. I've got some Nantes in the ground behind me just here, and they're an early variety, so I'm going to pick these for eating quite small. So I'm just going to pull a few up because I'm going to pop something else in the ground soon. Straight away, I've picked a really ugly one for the camera. Look at that. Hideous. But we'll pop it in the trug anyway. Let's keep going and see what we got. Okay, so there's a few that are quite pretty and nice to look at. The rest of them are kind of like what you'd expect carrots out of the Addams Family garden to look like. You know, they're forked quite a lot. Now I know there's not really any stones or anything in the ground here to get in the way, but I have noticed as I've been picking these that there's quite a few ants in there. So if you've got any solutions for getting ants out of a raised bed, preferably without using any sort of chemicals, I'd really like to know in the comments. But these, again, they're still good eating. Peel them up and chop them up. I'll probably put them in the freezer, make a little sofrito mix with some celery and some onions. So thank you for watching, and so we're going to do a lot more harvest videos, try and keep up with things this year. Kind of let it slip last year, and we'll keep you in the loop. But yeah, see you again next time.